Coaches Coaching. I think we're in the 30s now, episode number 31. So we had an amazing weekend. Those that participated know exactly what I'm talking about. But we had our second Strength Through Knowledge Saturday and Sunday, and it was a huge success by my standards, my opinion, but also talking to a lot of other people, they feel the same way. So what we decided to do on this coaches call is to take some of the trainers and coaches that were on and just talk to them about their experience and what they took away from it and how they're going to be implementing it into their training. And that's mainly what I'm more concerned about, guys, when you're answering these questions is, yeah, it was great. It was fun to hear, these guys speak, but what are you doing? And what have you already done? That's what I'm mainly concerned about. And I think, those that missed it, I think they could benefit from that as well as, hey, what are you actually implementing and what did you already implement? What are you looking to implement? So let's see, Jessie needed to get to a client. So we were going to have her first. Let's see, where's Jessie at? Let's see, that's Rachel. And there's Jessie. There we go. Let's see, Jessie, I'm not able to hear you. Oh, let me unmute you. Unless are you on mute? I don't see that you're connected. Is your audio connected, Jessie? So while she's getting her audio connected, let me just kind of give you a brief synopsis of the weekend. So we had Brendan Rurick, who's been here a number of times. He talked a lot about internship. We had Brett Bartholomew talk about conscious coaching, which in my opinion, if we were to rate all the things that VASA coaches need right now, that is by far the number one thing. If you have not read his book, read it today. Start now, because that is exactly what we all need as a company. Let's see, Jesse, did you get on? Audio-wise? I can see you're connected. And then we had Kevin Carr. Kevin Carr's talk, in my opinion, and I know, I'm saying this and you're thinking, oh gosh, RJ, but in my opinion was probably one of the best talks I've ever heard in regards to fitness, as from just a enlightening, mind-opening, like holy crap type of talk. And then we had Tim Anderson share more on his original strength, but a little bit more in depth. He did a phenomenal job as well. So that were the main keynote speakers. Jesse, you on yet? Jesse's audio working. And then from there, we had our master trainers speak, and they did a phenomenal job. Every single one of those guys, I was impressed by their talks. The way they presented, they used PowerPoint, right? But really though, every single one of the talks, I came away with a little nugget, some big nuggets, to help me train and improve and get better. So anyways. Jesse, are you on? If you're not, I'm going to have to move on. Okay, let's see here. So, Jesse, if you end up getting it working, let me know. Let's see here. Rachel, I had you spotlighted. So, Rachel, why don't you tell us where you're from, how long you've been training, and then your experience. How about first, where are you from, how long you've been training?
Okay, so I'm originally from Ogden, but I train at the Sandy Gym, and I have been training for over 3 years now and with VASA, and it's been awesome. So great. I'm really honored to be able to share my experience about the summit. Everyone knows I like to talk, and I couldn't stop chiming in at the summit, so it's nice to have my own time to speak.
So what was your number one takeaway? If you took one thing from the conference, what was it? One thing. The number one. I'm going to ask
I
you about others, but I want to know the first one.
I would say probably real learning and understanding elicits behavior change, because that, like, if we're really actually paying attention to all the talks that we listen to, then they're going to make a difference in our life. So I think Nick's talk about knowledge through power and putting things into action that we've learned really showed me that we need to take everything that we've learned and put it into action. Otherwise, it was kind of useless to go. So if you didn't go, make it a priority and sign up for the next one, because it's really life-changing. Seriously, text Nick Remy right now and get on the wait list, because it's not about the money. And if you did go, that's awesome, but you need to review everything you learned and what hit home and actually apply it. So just like Nick was saying, knowledge without action is just entertainment. So I was really thinking that I needed to change after all that we learned, all this knowledge. So I was reflecting on that and thinking how this entire company really follows that philosophy. Vasa has grown and distinguished itself from other gyms, and it looks more like Mike Boyle's gym than a big box gym. And my favorite part of working for Vasa has been the continuing education opportunities, which is really awesome that Nick has put so many together and RJ's kind of facilitated that. So people really should take advantage of them. And not only have I become a better coach by going to them, but I've become a better spouse, a mother, a friend, and just overall a general better person by working here, because I've allowed that knowledge to change my life. So some of my little nuggets and stories that I got from the summit and kind of that knowledge that really changed me was a story Tim Anderson told about a nearly paralyzed boy who was doing their programming. And it was just a really powerful message that our movements can help everyone and anyone. So they regressed his movements and they adapted it to his level, which was in a wheelchair. And 6 years later, that same exact kid stood up out of his wheelchair and embraced his dad, gave him a big old hug. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, if this isn't what you care about, and if that doesn't give you chills or make you cry like I was crying at the summit, then get out of fitness, because this is your passion and it should be. And if you don't
remember what they started with, Rachel? Do you remember what they started with him? Do you remember what they started with him?
They just did like the eyes, didn't they? First, and then they did cross crawling. So it was like really, really simple stuff. And all of a sudden
they did eyes and neck, eyes and head.
Yeah.
They started with eyes and head.
And all of a sudden he got like pincher grip, like these neuronal pathways were being developed. And then like after so many years, he could hug his dad. And I feel like that's what it's all about. So you need to be able to find your passion and live it. And if it's training, then awesome, do it, because that's what it is for me. So my passion is the human body and movement. And I love learning how and why the brain works the way it does. And Kevin Carr gave a great presentation on neuroplasticity. He used some pretty big clinical words, but he did a great job explaining them in simple terms. Basically, that the brain's moldable and can be rewired. And exercise promotes healthy brain activity. And the current scientific research supports that claim. And then, RJ, I hope you don't mind, but if you follow RJ on Instagram, then you kind of get more of the full picture. But if you don't, he shared some pretty intense personal thoughts on depression, anxiety, and suicide prevention. And basically, his experience with retraining the brain through a consistently healthy lifestyle has changed his life. And I also struggle with anxiety and depression. And I know sometimes, life's hard. It's hard to do everything in a day. So I don't always apply the principles. But when I do, I see a huge difference. And if I'm only changing one life at a time, and that life is me or my client, it's still changing the world. Like, you change their world. And you really don't know how much power you have. So I'm trying to implement the stuff that I learned in my own life and in my clients. So like just a simple little story yesterday, for the warm up during team, I did some CARs, which is controlled articulated rotations from the functional range conditioning. Like Thane kind of talked about it in his talk, but Jacek really kind of showed me some of what the movements meant. And it's basically, I just did the simple stuff that Tim Anderson does, like some eye movements and some head movements. And it was really simple. And then we went about class, whatever. And then as one of the clients left, she just casually said like, "Hey, thanks, Rachel. That was a great class. My headache went away with all those stretches." And I'm like, "What?" Like, and she's like, "Yeah, like I just feel better." And I was like, "This is what it's all about." Like, I didn't even try and elicit. I didn't even ask her like, "How are you feeling?" I was just like, "Hey guys, have a great day." And she was like, "Oh, that was awesome." So
you're exactly right, Rachel. You're exactly right.
I just want to end with knowledge is power. And now I feel like I have the power to reach my goals, which is to age gracefully and to be happy, healthy, and dancing at 100.
That's awesome. No, and you know, the main thing, and I think a lot of these guys are going to talk about that same thing. So, you know, I want to be able to give them time as well, but I appreciate your time, Rachel. Thank you. That was great. Let's see, Jasek, I see your face. So you're the next up. So Jasek, where are you from and how long have you been training with us?
So I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. I started in Sandy with Rachel and Nick, and now I'm out here in Colorado at the Willow Creek location. And I've been training for almost 2 years now. I think coming up on this fall will be 2 years. First of all,
you are the head trainer in training in Willow Creek / Thornton, Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. / Thornton, wherever I'm needed, basically right now.
Perfect. So tell us what was the biggest number one takeaway you took from this weekend?
I think my biggest takeaway was Kevin's talk, specifically along the lines of like we're so much more than just people who help other people lose weight, like changing people's lives, whether it's preventing them from cognitive disease or anything along those lines, which was his talk specifically. But like we're really important. We become therapists for people. Like they don't need us after a certain point, but people tend to stay. And I think that's really important to keep in mind, is that we're not just push-ups, pull-ups, and squats and deadlifts. Like we're important for these people's lives in so many different areas.
I've made the bold claim in the last 48 hours that our skill sets as coaches will be as valued in 10 years as that of doctors.
Yeah.
Because of preventative medicine. At the end of the day, that my buddy that went to school and just got done and is finally becoming a doctor, and at the same time I've been training for the last 10 years, our skill sets will be equally valued 10 years from now, because I'll be able to help prevent the issues and problems that people are having, and he's going to help, if they end up getting them, get it back to normal.
Right. Proactive.
Anyway, keep going. Yep. Proactive versus reactive.
Yep. So that was a big takeaway for me, was all of that stuff. And then Brett's stuff goes along with that, right? If you understand how to communicate with people better, if you can understand where they're coming from, what their agenda might be, all of that stuff, it adds on top of it. And I really feel like all of the speakers, while they were on different subjects, they really kind of link together. So like Brett's communication, Brendan, like setting stuff up to save you time later. Like I've never heard anybody say that before, but they're like little things like the stupid power block clips facing the right way, like always, just to save you time. That helps, right? That's
a perfect example of that, Jasek. The example they gave was the 100-pound sled. Mindy and I were in Bountiful just yesterday. And so what it is, guys, is at Boyle, what he's talking about is things have a place, right? So at Boyle's place, the 100-pound weights are on the sled, and they never move because it takes time to move a 100-pound plate. That's a big plate. Well, at Bountiful, the plates were sitting against the wall. So it took time to sit and get the plates and put them on the thing. And you imagine if we had a group, that would have taken X amount of time, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean, and little things like that buy you time with clients, right? Like Brett said, I don't have time to talk with my clients about their nutrition or anything like that, we'll take out the 10th set of tricep pull downs, and talk to them for that, right? We can buy ourselves time by prepping stuff up to make our lives easier. So that was a big takeaway. Tim's, my big takeaway from Tim was try to make stuff so simple that people almost feel dumb for not doing it. You come once a week to my small group, you come twice or 3 times a week to team, and then you go for a walk or a hike another day. It's so simple that people will feel dumb for not doing it. And we're trying to change habits, and so we can't make it complicated. I want you to do a lower body emphasis, blah, 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 whatever. People don't care. They're not going to have the attention or the focus to be able to do that on their own. Just come to the class. We'll do everything for you. So simple that they feel dumb for not doing it.
Exactly. I think that was one big takeaway from, I agree with you, from Tim's of just how little things just over time, makes a big, huge difference.
Yeah. And Kevin even brought that up too. The study where they did, what was it? One workout of a 3x10 and called it good, once a week. I don't know if you remember that little portion of it, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is in some essence. Our programming is way better than what they were doing. Come once a week, right? You've done so good keeping it. Don't, just because you kind of fell off the wagon, you can't come 3 or 4 times a week. That doesn't mean we can't keep moving forward or maintain where we're at. Just keep coming. Go for a walk.
Yeah. The consistency. Just the consistency.
Yep. That 10 push-ups and 20 squats a day or whatever, every day for a year, 7,000 squats and 3,650 push-ups. That's a lot.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yep.
But those numbers
Exactly.
are so easy, and you get people to do that at the beginning of their day. Now they're creating a habit of, I need to exercise. I need to move every single day. And that starts their day off really, really well. And I'm willing to bet that if they did that every day, it would compound. All of a sudden, what am I going to have for breakfast? Well, I did my push-ups today. So maybe I'm going to skip my Pop-Tart, and maybe I'll have eggs or oatmeal or whatever. And then for lunch, well, I was so good for breakfast, I can't have the burger from McDonald's. I'll go get a huge salad with chicken and avocado and stuff like that. It compounds. And then, I feel really good. Maybe I'll go to the gym later. All of a sudden, that little moment of 2 minutes of exercise first thing compounds their whole day. And they had an amazing day.
Yep.
It's not always going to happen.
There's a lot of power in the morning and starting your day right. And no, you're exactly right.
Yeah. So those were most of my big takeaways. And then
Awesome.
next thing again, just like Rachel said, doesn't matter how much you know if you don't apply it. My big takeaway from Lanes was his whole create moments thing, right? Which again, Tim talked about. If you can end on breathing, people feel good. I've noticed if during team we finish a little early for whatever reason, everyone's there and on time and running it. We end with breathing and everybody leaves happy. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Thane's little bit, I don't know if anyone caught it really clearly, but his thing about measuring our success based on when people finish their rounds. And that's he told me that, and it's taken me about a month to process what that even means for people. But if you have a group of 8 people and one of them is a college athlete or has been with you for a long time, and you've got little Nancy who's 70 or 60 or whatever, getting every single person for all 3 rounds or 4 rounds if you want to count power to finish at exactly the same same time, that's difficult. Like, because people are going to vary from day to day. Like, all of that stuff is so tough.
Yeah. And what you're basically saying is that what that says is if you can get everybody to end at the same spot, then you have done your job as a coach in meeting them where they're at.
Exactly. Yeah. And keeping everybody right there. Like, and also, like, that takes away a bunch of the anxiety that people could have about joining a group. Like, I hear all the time, well, I don't know if I'm ready for the group. I feel like I'd hold the group back. Like, no, you're not going to hold the group back. And if you can really get everybody to end at the same time, nobody's going to feel that way ever. Or,
exactly.
like, I'm too advanced for the group. Like, really? Because you ended the same time that Nancy did. So clearly not.
Okay, that's a good one to end on. I got to cut you off. Oh, that's great. Thank you, Jason. That was awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, so let's see. We're going to go to his counterpart that he just left in West Jordan. Micah is up next. So, Micah, where are you from and how long you been training?
So born and raised in Utah. Been with Vasa for about 3.5 years now. So, been a blast.
Awesome. Okay, so biggest takeaway from the weekend, what was it?
So biggest takeaway for me actually happened with Brett Bartholomew. We talk about this all the time. We are in the people business and we do fitness. And his biggest thing was we have to connect with these people. Like, we have to connect the dots. We have so much knowledge at our disposal, and a lot of us want to share that. And we think that, like, if we can share our knowledge, then that'll change people's lives. But connecting with their why, what matters to them and what's important to them, that's what actually gets them bought in. And as soon as they're bought in, most of our job is done. They're going to motivate themselves. They're going to push themselves. They're going to be as excited as us, if not more excited. And that's a game changer in every session with every client and with everyone you come across in life. So to me, that was huge. And his call to action with that, where we don't put enough emphasis on that, like, a bit of a slap in the face, because we talk to talk, and, we talk a big game, but, like, I think that every single one of us can always do a little bit more to connect with those clients and really get them bought in.
And to compound on what Mike is saying, going back to what I was saying before, this is the number one thing this is the number one struggle Vasa Fitness from a training perspective has right now, is being able to communicate the message of what it is that we're doing. Being able to communicate that a single leg deadlift is going to help you accomplish X, Y, and Z. And this is why you should want to do that. And just like Mike is saying, getting people bought in. And that's exactly what Brett's whole thing is that idea of getting people bought in, getting people, to do it, not because you're forcing them to, but because they want to do it and they want to be a part of it, and because you're coaching them. Go ahead, Micah.
So building on that, Tim was kind of the next person that gave me a little bit of some good stuff that connected with me, where he talked about, like, how much power we have as people, as humans, how we choose to create our environment, and we have the power to really create our bodies and what we want. And not just physically, but also the lives that we want. So he talked about everything from, changing the way that you move to changing the way that you view life and you view what's important. And, for me personally, when it comes down to, we get those feelings of, like, man, I really should do this, or I really want to do this, but I just don't know. It's about going for it. Like, it's about taking that and saying, no, I'm going to do this. Like, no one needs to stay in the normal. Okay, no one needs to be normal. We can all be an outlier. We can all be above that line if we choose and if we actually put in the effort.
And one thing, let's point out real quick, Micah. What did he show on Normal?
So on Normal, he talked about bell curves. We hear bell curves most of our lives, where you've got the outliers that are, below the standard, and then those few people that are outliers above the standard. But for the most part, here's this bell curve. Everyone falls in normal. And normal for, our society is, most people sit for their jobs all day long, 6+ hours. We have like a 68.8% overweight or obesity in America. Like stuff like that, health conditions as you age, all of that is considered normal by our society standards. And we just accept that a lot of the time. And his big thing was like, there's no need to accept that. Like that's self-limiting. And we have the power and the choice to change that mindset. We're not going to settle for normal. We're going to change that and make normal being the best each of us can be.
This was the slide that Tim shared with the group. And this is what Micah's referencing. So, when people say, hey, you kind of have the mindset of what's normal, right? When you go to a restaurant, you ask, hey, what's the most popular dish, right? A new restaurant you've never been to, hey, what's the most popular dish? Or when you go get your vitals done, hey, am I in the normal range, right? Okay, well, this currently is normal. Average of 13 hours a day, sitting. 70% of Americans are either overweight or obese. 88% of nursing home residents are 65 years or older. People lose 3% to 8% of muscle every decade past the age of 30. So his thing was, if that's normal, I want nothing to do with it.
Hey, RJ, can I say one thing on that?
Go ahead.
Just on that slide, I saw that and my just immediate gut reaction was just, holy crap, we have so much work to do. And that's our work right there. Those are our people we got to help.
Yep, exactly. I think one thing, to comment on that, Lane, I think all of us kind of came out of it with a greater sense of overall purpose, being a part of something bigger than what we are, right? And I think that all of us kind of came away from that to some degree going, hey, I'm part of something, even beyond Vasa, I'm part of something like this is an epidemic. Like this is a problem. This is a major problem. And we have the tools to be able to fix it and help it. Micah, any final thoughts for us, man? Sorry, Lane and I kind of hijacked your time. You got
good.
Some good thoughts, though.
I try and think pretty well.
You did good.
So my final thing has to do with Kevin Cars, because it kind of ties all that in together, like going over the norm. The statistics for like mental health and like mental disease and mental illness, like it's heartbreaking. Like legitimately, whether or not you know it, I can guarantee that anyone on this call knows someone that suffers with it. Like RJ's open about it. I'm open about it. Like Rachel was open about it. There's a lot of us that struggle with this, and a lot of people don't talk about it. And that again is the norm of our society. But Kevin's talk about what we can do, just the small things that we can do every day, and the small things that we can help our clients do every day, completely change the way that they feel and their brains work. It's amazing, from nutrition to sleep to just basic exercise, not even anything crazy. And one big thing is like Rachel mentioned with RJ's thing is people don't seek help. Like it is really RJ talked about this, like seeking help and being open about it is hard. And we have the power with our clients to be that connection for them to change their lives and like really, really take not just their physical health, but their emotional and mental health to a whole new level. And when you take Brett's philosophy on connecting with every client, and then Tim's philosophy on empowering and creating the lives and bodies that we believe we deserve, and then Kevin's thoughts on what we're capable of cognitively and what our lifestyle can do for our mental health and well-being, like we have so much power in this industry and so much opportunity, and we should be making the most of that every single day.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you, Micah. Appreciate it. All right, last one up. fixing her hair, getting all ready to go.
All right. So,
Paige,
yes.
Where are you from? How long you been training?
I am at the Leighton Vossa. I'm the head trainer there, and I started just over a year and a half ago. I actually opened that gym. One thing that I got a big takeaway from because of that, like I started just over a year and a half ago, and Lane said something about a coach will impact more people in 1 year than most people will in their entire lives. And that hit home for me because I'm like, well, I've only been a trainer for a year and a half, and I've already helped more people than most people will in their entire lives. Like that was just kind of mind-blowing to me. And then Brendan last year at the summit said this, and then I can't remember if I read it on a handout he gave or on a slide or if somebody asked him, but sorry, got a phone call. But he said that part of his why is to make exercise more prescribed than any pill. And I think if we can take everything that we learn, whether it be from these Strength Through Knowledge summits, from our mentors, from books that we read, we truly can, like you said, in the next 10 years, make exercise more prescribed than any pill. And that was probably one of my biggest takeaways.
That's awesome.
I'll try to be super quick. Go ahead.
No. That was great. That was great. I mean, at the end of the day, I think a lot of us had similar takeaways, and so no, that's perfect. So go ahead with what you have next.
Yeah, I just wanted to, for the sake of time, be super quick and just give everyone homework. Everyone's touched on you and following RJ on Instagram, any social media you can, follow RJ. He's probably one of the most open and willing to talk and share his experiences as long as it will touch one person or help one person. So follow RJ on Instagram. And then Brendan, Kevin, Tim, and Brett, follow them. Like these people are so willing to give you any information that they have. Like they want you to learn and they want you to be better. And they have good information. And then Brendan said one of the things that they talk about with their big truck. One of the things that he talks about with their interns is asking yourself at the end of the day if you got 1% better. Every day, what did you do today to apply the knowledge that you've gotten from your certifications, from books that you've read? Ask yourself if it made you 1% better. He talks about this sandbag analogy, like pretend like you have a sandbag on your back and you have your specific color. And if your gym is not covered in your color of sand, like did you really do everything you could that day? Were you engaged? Were you helping people? Or were you just doing the bare minimum? And so I just thought that was kind of crazy to think about because, I mean, I have my days where I'm tired and I can't let that affect the experience I give my clients and my trainers and anyone who comes in contact with me at the gym that day. So.
Awesome. Hey, that was great. I love that. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one thing real quick. You asked how we're applying this stuff. So if anybody knows, we have a group on Facebook for our clients at Leighton. And the very next day, actually, after the summit, I posted, I asked them the question that I'm pretty sure it was Kevin asked us, like, can you do 3,650 push-ups? Can you do 7,300 squats or however many it was? No? Okay, well, guess what? Guess what our challenge is this month? We're going to start a habit. So for every day that they actually do those, they get their name put into a drawing. And in 4 weeks, we're going to do like a drawing and give them prizes and stuff. Because I thought that was a pretty cool, like, hey, you can do this. It will take time. It takes work. It takes effort. But create a habit. Start today. So we've implemented that already.
No, that's awesome. I think one thing that was cool was when, to kind of piggyback on that, Tim had everybody take their, do carries, right? And they had, whatever, 50 pounds, and you guys did it for about 5 minutes. That was one I didn't participate in, but at the end, he pointed out, he said something like, hey, if you carried 50 pounds, you carried 1,000 pounds over the course of two football fields. you know, I mean, that's a pretty powerful thing when you think about that, right? But if I said that at the very beginning and I said, hey, we're going to carry 1,000 pounds 2 football fields, you'd be like, okay, see you there.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see here. Lane, Nick, I know you guys are on. I know we're kind of past time, but this is good stuff. Did you guys have any kind of pressing things you wanted to share at all? Or I've got some final thoughts. I can just go right into that.
I just have one. I'm probably going to die here in a second.
Please, Lane.
So I just think the one time I heard Boyle say, you know, every time you read a book, write a one-page summary of that book and how you're going to apply it. And I've tried to do that a lot of times. But with going to such a great event, write a one-page, you know, okay, each speaker, what were your big takeaways from each speaker? And what were your possible implementation ideas and how to make your training better? I think that's just a really helpful exercise. Anytime you go to something, you're learning through a fire hose. There's so much great information. So unless you go back through and sort through it, it can be very difficult to actually implement. You know, there's what you know and there's what you can implement. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Lane's talk on creating moments was great. And to be honest, like I said, all these talks, and I kid you not, we will be using, and I'm actually putting together a presentation right now to present to the executive team, and kind of putting together in combination with the research that we've been doing. Yeah. So anyways, Nick, you were, I just saw your hand moving.
I was messing with my phone, but no, kind of the same thing Lane's talking on. Like I loved every minute of it. I don't feel like I could pay attention as well as I should have because I was trying to make sure the event was going pretty smooth, but I still got tons of nuggets. And now I'm taking all these presentations and videos and trying to put it together so I can send it out to you guys. And what I'm going to do is what I suggest you do is kind of the same thing that Lane's talking about. Is I'm going to go through everything, try to remember, like watch the videos again, look at the presentations, take my notes, and then go, hey, how am I going to actually implement some of this information? Otherwise, again, we got really entertained over the weekend instead of how did I change someone? How did I change my training? How did I change my whole concept from that weekend to go forth? But that's pretty much it. Is I'll try to get that out to everyone that came to the summit within the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. And while I've got him spotlighted for a second, you know, he did a phenomenal job putting this together. Just want to tell you thanks again, Nick, for providing the wonderful opportunities that you've been providing all of us. Thank you, brother. So in kind of closing, I love, first of all, I love that I've got people telling others to follow me on Instagram. And I'm not even, but follow me.
You've started a
right,
cult
follow
following.
me. If you want good shit, follow me. I put good shit on there because I care. At the end of the day, I care. You know what they're saying is accurate. I give a shit and I care, and so I want to, you know, help other people. I've been helped a ton. So, kind of my biggest takeaway was this: is that the brain and the body are the same thing. The brain affects the body, and the body affects the brain. And what we do specifically with in regards to fitness can greatly improve the well-being of both of those things. So like I mentioned at the beginning, when I said 10 years from now, our skills as coaches will be equal to that of a doctor, it may even be quicker than that. Because of the direction that things are headed and the science and the information that we're getting and the education, all of that. Now, if you're a shitty coach, yeah, it doesn't matter. No. Yeah, you're not going to make any money, right? What I'm saying is guys with my skill set, guys that know how to coach people, guys like they are watching right now. A lot of you that are watching this are guys with that, right? And so that's what, and I girls, guys and girls, when I say guys, I'm talking people, okay? Human beings, right? I'm not that guy. So, but, so that's what I came out of it. I came out of it with an elevated purpose of who I am, what I'm about, and how I fit into that, and how I can help push that forward. But guys, we we are in an industry that is growing rapidly, and the importance of it is growing rapidly. And we are with a company that is a rocket ship in that industry. So if you're listening to this and you're a part of this and you're not taking steps right now to get in alignment with that, go look in the mirror and have a really strong, hard conversation with yourself. Okay? This is exciting shit. This is really exciting to be a part of. So that's what I came out of this weekend. So appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you guys, all of you, for participating. Wonderful job. Coaches coaching. We'll get these uploaded and sent out. Boom! We're done.